Hello, everybody. Welcome to Just Ask Spirit. I'm Sherry-Anna Boyle. I'm your host, and joining me today, my guest is Mabel Katz. Yes. I just had to practice her name a few times. So Mabel is an author, public speaker, internationally acclaimed world peace ambassador, and she's recognized as leading authority in the, I'm going to give this a whirl, folks, Ho'oponopono chant.
Ho'oponopono.
There was another, whatever. There was something missing there, right?
The only thing that is difficult about it is the name. That's it.
Otherwise, it's considered, I see you reference it as one of the easiest ways to happiness and abundance and to peace. This is a ancient Hawaiian art, everyone. If you're new to this, I'm actually not. I am familiar with, I just can't say it. It's a practice for problem solving, for achieving happiness and peace, as I said. And Mabel is the author of the book called Zero Frequency. And this is a way that life teaches that we're 100% responsible, 100% responsible, and that for forgiveness and gratitude, and it's a pathway to zero frequency state, which you're going to learn more about. So once again, welcome, Mabel, to Just Ask Spirit.
And thank you for learning how to say my name, Juliana.
I'm so excited to have you on the show, and just to preface anyone that's new to the show, because we have many new listeners. Just Ask Spirit is actually the new kid on the block on Dream 7 Vision Radio. And so I'm just want to make sure that I honor those that are just coming on board. What my intention is that this is a place to explore spirituality. This is a place to explore spirit. And for people to just really hear different conversations and viewpoints and approaches for fostering a relationship with spirit. So, and also mental health, right? Because I believe that they're connected. I've seen a big difference. I'm curious about what you feel about that. But that is what Just Ask Spirit is about. Tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be with all of this.
Yeah, I think it's very important what you just said, because Ho'oponopono gave me peace, spirituality in itself. You know, when I found out, when I started my search, I come from the business world. I used to be a tax accountant, and I was very close-minded, you know, perfectionist, and a lot of other things. I thought that material things would make me happy. And when I started my search, because I realized I wasn't happy personally, you know, my profession, I always did very well in Argentina, when I'm from, and here in the US. But there was something in me, you know, I was always frustrated. I was always sad. I was always mad, you know. So actually my first seminar was about anger. I went to see what anger was, or where it came from. Yes. So spirituality really brought me peace and brought me the happiness that I was looking for in the wrong places. So I'm glad of the work that you are doing, because I think it's very important, especially in the times that we are living right now.
So you were not the same person that you are. Well, you've transformed, is what I'm guessing from this work, the energy, right? And I always like to be clear, at least in my viewpoint. I'd be interested in your viewpoint. Is it really transformation, or is it becoming more of who we are, right? Because I think sometimes we strive to be different, and for spirit, it's we already are. Okay, that's you see it the same way.
Because it's allowing yourself to be yourself, accepting and loving yourself the way you are, not what the other people are expecting from you. Yes, I was very unhappy because I was always looking for approval outside, because I was putting other people first. I was pleasing people, you know, because for me it was very important that they like me. or things like that. But I didn't like myself. Yes.
Right.
And I think that, as growing up, I was spiritual, and I thought I think I was a believer. And then I got into the, I don't know how to call it, the roller coaster, of life, of intellect, or what is right, and what is wrong, and a lot of that things. And again, putting sometimes money first. That I'm telling you, I still like money, but I don't put it on the pedestal. I don't depend on that. I don't depend on the material things. You could have all you want, but if you are looking for them to make you happy, I mean, forget it. It's not there.
So is it fair to say that you detached a little bit in a spiritual, not an emotional detach? Because I always like to make that clear, because sometimes people detach from themselves, right? They detach from energy, they detach from their emotions, and that's not the kind of detachment that we're talking about when we talk about spirit, meaning not putting the money on the pedestal. So in terms of I'm going to call it the chant, because I don't want to butcher it, because where does that come from, that name? The
Ho'oponopono?
Yes.
Okay.
Tell us about
so
the history.
it's a very ancient Hawaiian art of problem solving. So the word is Hawaiian, and it actually means something. It means how to correct an error. You mentioned before, we talk about 100% responsibility. So we say that life is just errors showing in your screen, in your screen of life, difficult people, challenges, always opportunities to clean, to erase, to amend, to correct errors. So where do these errors come from? It comes from other lifetimes. Most of them comes, from people that you've been together before. Some people come to cash, and some people are coming to give you, to pay you back, or things like that. So we are all in this thing together, making amends, that's why taking responsibility is a big thing, instead of blaming and complaining, and seeing yourself as lucky when things come to you, because there are opportunities for you. There is always a blessing behind that difficult relationship, or that lack of money, or whatever problem you might have.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's, when I wrote Emotional Detox, which is the core book, that's really what that book was all about. It was a turning point for me, where I realized, okay, this is either going to take me down, either I'm going down, or I'm going to take responsibility here. I'm going to stand up, and I agree. The blame thing is so self-destructive.
Yes.
Right. I mean,
or when you don't forgive. For example, Jeriana, something that made a big change in my life was realizing that if I didn't forgive, I was hurting myself. You're always, carrying the anger and everything, the resentment, but you don't realize that you are living in the past. Exactly, with that person that you don't want to.
So true.
And Ho'oponopono is about coming back to present, or that zero frequency, where everything is possible. Well, the past is past, that's it. And where now you have all the possibilities, but you have to choose to be happy, really. I think peace and happiness is a choice. And so right now we are kind of thinking that we depend on people or things outside of ourselves to be happy and to be at peace.
And that thing about taking full responsibility, I think what can happen, and you might agree with me here or not, is that we've been taught to be ashamed, right? That if we admit something, or we own something, that somehow that's going to, we push it down, that I did something bad. Exactly. And it's such a heavy sense.
Oh, your audio went off.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. That happens now and then. So again, that sense of shame is so heavy and so oppressive. Do you find that as well in terms of this taking full responsibility? I'd love to tease that out a little bit because I don't know if everybody knows exactly what that looks like.
Yeah. That's a good point because a lot of people feel that I'm saying that they are guilty. And that's completely different. No, you are not guilty. Responsibility will set you free. Guilt, no. It's the opposite. So responsibility is what is it in me that is creating or attracting this? And now you can change it. That was my realization, and it was the first time in my life I felt free. It wasn't when I heard it the first time either. Okay, I had to. Still, I got to the point that I understood it, and I said, "Wait a minute. If I'm responsible, that means I created it. I can change it." So responsibility gives you back your power. Now you are in power. When you blame and complain, you are giving your power away. No wonder we feel bad, but now you recover your power. You know that it's up to you, because really life is up to you and your choices and your decisions.
Interesting. And I read in your bio, Mabel, that you go into prisons. That you've been.
Yes, I love that work. I learn a lot.
Yeah. So and you and I have something in common, because I've been drawn to the prison system as well. I had a family member who was incarcerated. So when I was about 9 years old, I used to go to the prison on Sundays and visit this family member. And then later I would go and I would work in a prison. So I can totally relate, but what you do is you bring what you're doing now to the prison, right? So I was going more because I think I was still carrying it inside of me, right? It was almost like, these are my peeps, I can feel the energy, even though I didn't commit a crime. So many of you listening can relate. I'm still carrying the heaviness of just being in that environment. So I'm
knowing that exists. Yes, because for some people, they don't have a clue. Yeah,
exactly. But what I love that you're doing is actually going and you're changing the energy. So to put in perspective, can you tell the listeners what you mean when we talk about this ancient Hawaiian practice? Do you want to share?
But I really would love to comment on that, on the prisons, because what I found out, Sheriana, even the very first time I visited one, and I went to give a talk, I realized that that's a spiritual retreat. You don't have to do anything of your chores. You don't have any responsibilities. You have all the time in the world to decide for you and your life and what is important. And you can review what I always tell them, don't go to the past. That's it. But you understand what I mean? What do I learn? What did I learn or whatever, or what am I going? So, and I'll tell you, and really I confirm that, because I always found very spiritual people, and they tell me, and they know what I'm talking about, and they read books, maybe they read The Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle or whatever. So they always surprise me. And the thing is, I had people really cry. I had people read me the Bible because they said everything you are saying is in the Bible. Could I read it to you? Or things like that. So I always had amazing experiences. I mean, they are a gift to me, visiting them, and because I learned from that.
It is a very special experience. I agree. When I later worked in the prison, I still feel it in my heart, and I'm still so grateful that I got to go back to the prison as an adult and give my time. I did some volunteer work there. This is absolutely fascinating. Spiritual retreat. I love that.
I couldn't believe it was the first. I have to tell you, because that was an amazing experience. I went for the first time to these women prison in Mexico. It was my first experience, and I thought, what am I gonna tell them, or things like that. But I started throwing, because when I saw them there, first of all, it was a choice to be there. They weren't, it wasn't mandatory, to come to, but I had like over 40 people showing up. And I felt like I was in a women's conference, or things like that. They taught me, but the things that came up, and again, the first thing I told them, and again, I don't know where this came from. I said, this is a spiritual retreat. What I said, you don't have to cook, you don't have to do shopping, you don't have to go, to pick up your kids at school. I said, what are you gonna do? So this is your time. And some women there confirmed that, they did everything you can think of outside, and that they found peace in the prison themselves.
Now, that's really interesting because correct me if I'm wrong here, Mabel, because I'm really going into my memory bank. But in terms of the Hawaiian practice, did the earlier discoveries of how powerful that practice come from a psychiatrist who had worked in a prison? Yes, correct?
Yeah, well, he worked on mental hospitals, where people, but he worked with people, it was Dr. Ihaliakala, my teacher, and he worked with people that killed, people that raped, and things like that. So yeah, he worked with very special people.
And is it true that by doing this practice, the prison system changed the way that the level of
that hospital ended up closing,
and I'm sorry,
everybody started going home.
Okay, I'm so glad I asked the question because I was telling the wrong story. So it was not a prison, it was a hospital,
a mental hospital.
Okay, that closed because of the work there. And then they went home. They were able to go back.
But there were people, even, going, what Dr. Ihaliakala would tell us stories, that people, he wouldn't talk to them. He would do the Ho'oponopono training, process without even, talking to them. But they would go to, suddenly, we say that whatever gets erased from us, it gets erased from everybody, especially our family, relatives, and ancestors. But in that case, he would say that these people would go before the judge and would say, I am 100% responsible suddenly. And it's not like he taught them that, or something like that. So he had those kind of things. He noticed no more people in shackles, solitaires or things like that. The nurses wouldn't call in sick every day, because they didn't want to come. It was really dangerous, for them in there. So he started noticing all the changes that were happening. And as far as we know, because I met some of the nurses that work with him, is, people started going home and that particular mental hospital closed.
That's amazing. And I love to share that because I don't know about you, but don't you just want to shake the institutions sometimes and say,
all the institutes, we have a lot of work, Shariana. I mean, we are talking about the changes now in the schools.
I just want to shake them like one of those toys, that they shake. Up and down, move the editor doing. Come on.
We have to start from top. Yes. Because I mean, what is coming down the pipe is really bad wherever you look right now.
Yes. I agree. Let's talk about.
And I think part of that is the lack of spirituality in all of this.
Well, and exactly. And the lack of responsibility. What you are saying, to be 100, everyone's like, it's their fault. It's their fault. It's like that.
Yeah, nobody,
everyone, right? It's
nobody
their
wants
problem.
to take responsibility. Yeah.
Nobody is taking 100% responsibility. And here we are, right?
Yeah. So, you mentioned I am a peace ambassador, and I do have a world peace campaign, and it is peace begins with me, with each one of us. Peace within is world peace. It starts with us. I mean, we have to be at peace.
I agree. I 100% agree. I do want to hear more about zero frequency. You
Sure.
mentioned it earlier when you said coming back to the present, and then you said zero frequency. That's a new term. What does that mean? And that's the
Well,
title of your book.
yeah, it is kind of what Ho'oponopono does for us. It brings us to the zero frequency. So why do you want to be at zero? It's because that's where you can be yourself, yes? Where you are not in the past, you are not in the future, you are not engaging with your emotions or your thoughts. That doesn't mean that they are not there, but you are not engaging. So you are really one with divinity, with the way you understand it. For me was to, because I wasn't a believer, but I became a believer when I started practicing. I started noticing things and I said, I don't think I'm doing this by myself, there is help here. And zero is about connecting with your own divinity, that part of you that knows you better than anybody else, that has all the solutions to your problems, that is always there, but waiting, because you have free choice. So you have to choose, to come back to present, to let go and allow, God, the universe, to help you.
Interesting. So the way that my brain interprets that to help me, and everybody has a different way that sort of interpret the information. So zero frequency is a space where you're and not in reactivity. Would that be correct?
Exactly. Where you become yourself because you are being an observer, that you can observe without engaging with the emotions or thoughts. Yes. And it's a way of giving permission to this part of you. It's like, for example, Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about two antennas. He says that we have like two radios. Yes. So you have to be able to lower this one, the one from the intellect, to be able to listen to the other one.
Yes.
So it is a choice moment by moment, because if you want, you can keep going back to the past as many times as you want. You can get in that roller coaster of your thoughts and your anger, and your worries for the future. But if moment by moment, you could be a little bit more conscious and making better choices, like, letting go and coming back to present, that's all you have.
And really, but I just want to wrap this segment up because we're going to take a quick break, but it's so fascinating, as you say, letting go, because here you were an accountant.
Yes.
And you had to let go of something, right? And
a lot. I let go of a lot. Yes. Not only my career, I let go of many other things in my life.
Interesting.
And I wouldn't change it for anything.
Incredible.
I will do it again. Let's do it. Let's put it that way.
Let's do it again. Okay. Well, we are going to do it again. We're going to take a quick break for everyone. We'll be right back. I'm speaking with Mabel Katz, the author of Zero Frequency, the easiest way to happiness and abundance. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to Just Ask Spirit. I'm Shariana, and today I'm with my special guest, Mabel Katz, author of Zero Frequency. If you're just joining us, the easiest way to happiness and abundance. So we were just speaking about zero frequency. I think we have a sense of what you mean, a state of non-reactivity and a state of oneness, where you can be yourself, as what you were saying. In terms of that term, was that something that was channeled to you, Mabel? I mean, because it appears that a lot of this is channeled. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, especially when I talk like this, or on my seminars, my lectures. Actually, this book took me 10 years to write it. And I was really, and the inspiration wouldn't come, the channeling wouldn't come. And after I even published it, because it was ready in 2019, but I didn't publish till 2020. And after I read it myself again, because I was recording the audio, I said, this was a book for 2020, not before. No wonder, So sometimes it's like going with the flow, really. I think we also left about, my leaving the accounting. I actually left my family too. And my kids were adolescents at that time. And it's not like I abandoned them. I moved 15 minutes away. But that made a big change in their life, in mine, and we have an amazing relationship. I think it started being better since I moved out, you know, but all because I started believing. Because I in my mind, I said, God will not be asking me for something that it will be good for me and not for my kids or, you know, for everybody. And it really was. So zero frequency came to me at one point that says, how could you define, you know, where does it take you, you know, the thing, what happens? And it's like a different frequency. You are like in a different frequency. You are in a more elevated, let's say, where you can observe and you can see as God sees, or the universe, or so you change your perception. You stop reacting or taking things personally or things like that. So it definitely is a completely different frequency where you can. It's not about not having problems or no emotions or anything like that. It's being okay with having them, but not giving them your power. You know, realizing that when you are engaging with that, there is nothing wrong. And like you said, it's not about suppressing. It is about letting go. That is completely different, because when you suppress, you have more things accumulated, more things they are going to make you react in the future. Right. You know, more things to clean from the Ho'oponopono point of view. So it's not about suppressing. It's about being okay feeling those feelings, but not allowing them to control you, because they usually don't take you to good places.
Absolutely. And so it almost seems like it creates a balance. That's what it feels like when you talk about it, because sometimes I think as spiritual folks, we can go so out there, right? And
yeah,
right,
exactly.
It's almost becomes like an escape, right? That's
exactly
another extreme.
And I agree. To be honest with you, because of my accounting background, my business, let's put it that way, because of the way I used to be, I'm still intellectual, you know, there are things you cannot help. And things like that, because I'm a Virgo, because I'm Jewish. I mean, I always put myself as an example of somebody that could change. So if I was able to do it, anybody can do it, you know?
Right.
Because I have all the typical things of perfectionism, and I know, and I'm right, and et cetera, et cetera. Yes. So it was really a big change for myself. And I always say that, yes, if I did it, everybody could. But I'm sorry, I went.
That's okay. I have a question for you.
Yes.
I'm really curious about this.
Yes.
So how do you define spirit?
That part of us that is real, because all this is not. You know, it's connecting.
Love that. So not an illusion. You mean the part
exactly,
of us?
Exactly. It's not, when I'm telling you become the observer, it's becoming you, it's becoming spirit again. Yes. Being able to observe without reactions, being able to know that everything is perfect, even if it doesn't look like, you know, being grateful is a spirit. Yes. Being grateful for all the opportunities that life gives you. I know some are more painful than others, some are nicer than others, but they are all experiences. That's it. Our problem is our reactions, not the opportunities.
Absolutely.
You know?
And do you see a difference between spirit and soul, or do you use them interchangeably?
Yeah, I think soul is really that part of and again, I don't know anything, okay? But for me, soul is like that individual spirit in me, you know, that me in a spirit, yeah? And for me, spirit is in general, for God is spirit, you know, for me. But again, it could be, it's my own interpretation, yes? As soon as you put it in words, it's not. So it's just my interpretation, or how I call it. For example, one more thing, in Ho'oponopono, you know what we call the soul? We call the conscious and the subconscious. For us, that's the soul, the conscious and the subconscious. So, you know, it could be different philosophies, define it different, but the most important is that you know that you are not the physical. The rest is not
So
important.
true. It's so true, because if you do the research, and I've been really doing the research lately, there's so much contradictions out there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many different ways. I think it really what feels and speaks to you. That's why I like to ask my guests, what does spirit mean to you? And I encourage the audience to really just listen in and get to know what spirit means to you, because we all have these influences on us.
Exactly. And I think that the definition is not important, or the thing is that you are happy. I mean,
Yes.
your job is to be happy and to be at peace. That doesn't matter the definition, or if you understand it, how it works or something. If it resonates, just do it.
I love that. Your job is to be happy. Did everyone hear that? Your job is to be happy.
And to be yourself. And if you're yourself, you're going to be happy.
And I'm not sure. I mean, easier said than done, Mabel, in terms of, and to be yourself, because we're constantly, especially our youth, with the social media and and nobody really know, okay, is that what I'm supposed to,
that's true. But I'm going to give you the example of what it means, what it meant, what it still means to me when I say it. And you are right. Yeah, be yourself. Go and kill somebody. You feel like killing. No. Okay. Yeah, that's not what I'm referring. For example, one thing for me very important is your frequency is to connect people with their purpose, their passion. If you are doing what you love, if you are on purpose and on mission in this lifetime, I mean, everything will flow to you, really, because you have the whole universe, backing you up. So the most important, for example, when I realized, because this was a hobby for me, I started promoting my teacher because he helped me so much, that I started organizing for him, promoting. I became a teacher, but with him, still a hobby. Then I started teaching by myself, still as a hobby. But when I realized this was going to be my new profession, I actually went to him and I said, I'm going to go and take classes. I don't know anything about public speaking. And he told me, no, that will take all your naturality. All you have to be is yourself. So I'm telling you, the more the merrier. I have more people in the crowd. I even flow and channel even better. Yes. But I never get nervous because all I have to be is myself. And I'm not looking for approval. I'm sharing my heart. People can see it, can feel it, and I'm not there for, waiting for their approval.
And what occurred to me as you were speaking that I think is important to kind of pull out of this conversation is you have a lot of life experience behind you. You went through the challenges, right, Mabel? Yeah. And before you started taking these classes and things like that. And do you feel that because we go through challenges, that does help us get to know who we are?
Well, I always tell people, don't wait till you touch, I don't know in English if you say touch rock bottom, or something like that. Don't wait, till, gotcha. You lost somebody or cancer or whatever, you sure. Can make the choices, the choice to change or be happy right now. Yes. The thing is this, I went through many challenges, but it was easy. You know why? Because I kept letting go and letting God. You understand what I mean? When you allow yourself to be guided, protected, there is nothing you need to worry. So I understand it's not easy, but it could be easy. That's why my first books, the names of my first books are the easiest way to live, the easiest way to grow, because I said, I found the easiest way and I need to share it with people.
And I think what I was referring to, and I appreciate what you just said, and I'm glad you mentioned your earlier books, is that your story, right? So it's not necessarily the trauma, but the fact that part of being yourself, what I kind of teased out, and I'm pulling in the audience here, is don't be afraid to share. Yes, I used to be like this and now I'm like that, because you are being authentic, right? Because sometimes we try to come across a certain way, bury that.
Or people feel things that we are lucky. No, but we all had to face things. And
Yes.
there was also a book that helped me tremendously in my beginnings. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I mean, to find out that everybody goes through
I love
fear. I'm
that.
not alone,
Feel
But
the
the thing
fear
is,
and
are
do
you
it.
gonna give the power to the fear, or you're gonna let go? I said, thank you, but I'm busy. I
Right.
have things to do.
I love that. My mother always used to say when I was growing up, she used to say, if you're not going to help, then just get out of my way.
Good.
That's
That's a
her
good
thing.
one.
If you're not going to help, then get out of my way.
Wonderful. I love it.
So yeah, absolutely. I do, we are coming upon towards the end of the segment, but I think it's important to give a taste to the audience in terms of what we've been talking about here, this Hawaiian
Yes.
ritual that you do. Do you want to share a little bit?
Yes. So very fast, the idea with zero frequency and finding your passion, that for me is basic, is making the question to yourself, what would I do even if I don't get paid? Yes.
Okay, say that again. I got to write that down. What would I do?
What would you do even if you don't get paid, because you enjoy it so much, and it's natural and it's easy, and you didn't have to go to school to learn it. It's just you, because we always bring what we need. Yeah, all the tools, all the talents and everything. I'm sorry, the gardener is here. I don't know if you can hear some noise.
That's okay.
And the other thing is, Ho'oponopono became famous for 4 phrases. That is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. But I really use a lot. We just use thank you and I love you by itself. Repeating thank you mentally, it will stop this radio so that you can hear the other one. Yeah, that you are giving permission to the other one to guide you, to protect you, yes, to inspire you. But I use a lot of I let go and trust. I mean, in moments there is, that you don't know where to run, I let go and trust. Many times I use I'm not gonna worry, like telling the universe, you worry, you do whatever, because I'm not gonna worry, because I know already that worry or thinking about it will not solve it. Okay, or will not bring me that happiness or peace or freedom that I'm looking for. I use a lot of thank you, but I'm busy, that I told you. We have many tools in Ho'oponopono. I would like to invite your audience, because maybe for some of them could be the first time. I have a Ho'oponopono free video course. I teach there the glass of water tool, or everything. You can always repeat mentally light switch, like turning on the light, because the problem is that the light is off. So always trying, to work with the light, turning on the light. So there are many, many ways of doing this, but the most important is what we do. We take 100% responsibility, and we really say, I'm sorry for whatever is in me that created this. But you don't have to say all of that. Once my teacher, Dr. Ihaliakala, heard divinity said, just tell them to say thank you, I know what they mean. So a lot of tools that we have are shortcuts, are ways of giving permission in a shorter way, but still work very well.
And I want to point out, just because I channel spirit as well, that very often that's how spirit works, like short little phrases that you're giving. Yeah. Those are nuggets, folks.
Yeah, it doesn't need the whole list either. Yes, it knows all your needs, your responsibilities, everything.
They're direct, right? That is direct from source. When you get little, I love this. What is it? Thank you, but I am busy. Is that what you said?
Yeah, or I have important things to do. Thank you.
And it's just, it's almost like they get dropped, right? They get just dropped. This is
we are, well, like you said before with your mother, don't be your own obstacle in your own life. You also get out of the way.
If you're not going to help
of your own life
of the way, right? And of course, now that I'm becoming more and more like my mother every day, right?
Yeah, we always said I'm not going to be like her.
Oh yeah, this has been absolutely a delight. I hope everybody grabs your book and checks out your videos. If you go on YouTube, you can see
Thank you.
Mabel Katz there.
Thank you. I really enjoy. You are a wonderful interviewer, and I can't wait to read your book. I'm sure it's very good too.
Oh, thank you so much. And everyone, once again, it's called Zero Frequency, the easiest way to happiness and abundance. And it's mabelkatz.com. And yes, thank you so much again.
Thank you, Sheriana.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Yes. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. I am going to be right back with a message from Spirit, and then we'll close out the show. So hang in. Welcome back to Just Ask Spirit. I'm Sheriana. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host. I'm excited to have you here. That was a great conversation with Mabel Katz, wasn't it? I enjoyed it. I had no idea. She actually asked me, those of you listening, to record it in video as well. So it's going to actually be on Mabel's YouTube channel. I didn't know we were going to do that. So I did not. I said, okay, Mabel, let me just take off my sweater. Like I literally am feel like I just went for a run or something, that kind of look. And they're like, okay. But anyway, we're going to put it out there. Why not? I think it's a great show, and why not put it out there for people? So now we're at the part of the show where I talk about a couple of things. One is what's coming up to be cleansed. Cleanse is the system that I created for the 7 steps of an emotional detox. What are we detoxing? Reactions, everything that we just talked about. We're releasing reactions so that we actually can increase feeling. And I know a lot of these terms and labels and different ways that people present things can be very confusing. And I know Mabel just said, so that you can not be in a state of reactivity or be able to enjoy your life. And I couldn't agree more. In fact, I believe there's only one emotion, and that is love. Everything else is a reaction. So once you start to really process what you feel, that is actually what came to me. So I always say to myself, if I'm not in a state of love, and don't get that confused with, lust, for lack of a better word, right? We always think love. We picture it like the movies, that we're like just going to be over the top. But a state of love actually feels very grounding. I actually wrote a book on love. It's called Choosing Love. And it's a great book. And it really takes away all the myths around love and strips through that, so people really understand love as a vibration. And I've known love as to be very grounding. You just feel peaceful, you feel content, you don't really need much more, kind of like what Mabel was just speaking about. Now, I mentioned that I also give you a little message from Spirit. And here's the message that I received actually just today. So I thought I would share this with you. And the message is, know when you have to change your pot. Okay, you know what I mean by that? Well, when you plant a plant in a certain pot, and at first it's like, oh, this plant's so beautiful, it's doing great. And then after a while, the plant looks a little droopy or sad, or the leaves are turning a little yellow. Well, you might not need to change the pot. Why? Because the roots, they can't grow, they can't expand, they want to, right? So know what Spirit said to me today was, know when to change your pot. Meaning it could just be a matter of you need to create more space for growth. And that can be very difficult to do if your life is piled on with things and worries and problems, right? So you have to create space. So think of it like, okay, I'm not growing here. I got to expand my pot. How can I create space in my life so that I can grow spiritually, and then allow that and spiritually, mentally, all of that, and allow that to be part of my presence here on earth. Because I agree with Mabel Katz, we are spiritual beings first, and we are supposed to be growing, folks. Yes, we are growing in terms of consciousness and expansion. Thank you so much for joining Just Ask Spirit. Head on over to SherryAnnaBoyle.com when you get a chance. I have a free Calm Your Mind meditation. And also, I'm going to be at Kripalu Yoga and Health Center on July 8th in live. If you want to join me there, you can check that out in 2022 in case you're hearing the recording. And I'd love to see you and meet some of my listeners. So until then, remember, your emotions matter. Processing them matters more. Take care.